On March 31st, 2020, I created my first Skyblock profile, a game with such a simple premise and one ultimate goal. Now, with my current profile being close to 6 years old, I can say Skyblock is not the game it used to be. When I boot Skyblock, I see no end goal. I see a variety of paths that only bore me, that make me realize that there's no reason to play this game anymore. I see that the new Skyblock is nothing compared to the old. Now you could say I'm blinded by nostalgia, but that's not the case. Not for Skyblock, as I've played on and off for years with or without my friends to create memories. I enjoyed Skyblock, but today I can't seem to understand what to do anymore. Because in the past, there was one simple goal: Superior Dragon and a 50 mil Midas. That was the dream as you grinded in the harsh but fair economy. Though everything comes to an end, but not all endings are bad, as the update that changed everything simply pushed the goal, making it so that players would have something new to look forward to. With a fun, refreshing experience, of course, I'm talking about... I remember when Dungeons released to the public, as I waited in the lobby with my VIP rank, watching as they let each rank from highest to lowest into Skyblock. And while Dungeons was fun, I feel as if it created a big switch for what Skyblock would become. Yes, that ultimate goal was still there, but now it had changed into new items, with it becoming even harder to reach that goal. As each new floor would release, it would change the economy in one go, making everything expensive until the next floor, dropping the prices significantly, but creating a massive inflation in the economy, which caused one of the biggest economical changes the game had seen: booster cookies, as it was used to combat the massive amount of cheating in Skyblock, either it being IRL trading or using a cheat client to simply do enough dungeon runs to obtain the best items or gear. Booster cookies were only obtainable by spending real-life money, a way for Skyblock to profit and a way to stop the IRL trading problem. Back then, booster cookies were worth about 3 million coins. Now they're worth about 10 million. However, this didn't impact the gameplay of Skyblock too much. But why are we even focusing on dungeons and the cookies? It's because this event was the climax of Skyblock. It's where it peaked in players and where the fun was at max, with massive major events such as Mayor Dante and the Resistance. But after all that grinding, the next big thing came out. This update gave a whole new change to the mining system of Skyblock. While I'm not a huge miner, as I use snow minions to get all my XP, using research I gathered from others, this update was very hit or miss. I know I didn't like it. Unlike Dungeons, which was still pretty fresh at the time, the Dwarven Mines was a bit of a grind, with the repeated amount of quests you had to do to get XP for the Heart of the Mountain. I didn't like this gameplay loop, as the only way to access the better items wasn't to just buy it off the shop, but to play the gameplay loop over and over again, which would be tedious to me. So I dropped the update and waited for the next big thing. I cannot comment much on the Crimson Isle, as I wasn't really able to play it. It was for the endgame, which upset me, because I wasn't really active on Skyblock anymore. I had gone on and off period of the game, and when I came back, I didn't know what was going on. It was as if so much had changed in the time period that I couldn't even understand what the endgame was anymore. And the truth is, there was no more goal. Some could say it was being maxed and everything, but the amount of time that would take is absurd, especially back then. As from what I remember, prices were absurdly high. Things like a 50 mil Midas were now seen as chump change, as everyone used their 1 billion coin Hyperion. It was as if Skyblock was adding so many more features along with these big updates just to add more features. Of course, gear was a good addition, but with all the different types of gear, it's harder for newer players or returning players to learn. It's overwhelming and it's off-putting, especially when there's a billion other things you need to get for progression, like talismans. To me, this is where Skyblock had lost its excitement. I felt as if Skyblock was in a... Now I call this the Dark Age, as I simply could not be bothered to get on. The game had lost its identity to me. I couldn't touch the game, as everything was changing so dramatically. Items that were once useful are now purposeless and worthless, even if it cost a couple million to craft. There were no tweaks or rebuffs, and ever since this update, I always tell myself, I miss the old Skyblock. Throughout all my years of playing, and all the fun ways there were to make money, earn experience, and grind events, I always wanted that feeling back. But it could be because I've gotten older. But I still feel as if Skyblock was a more simpler and a much easier game to understand and grind. Though this segment might add bias, the funniest memories I had were those inside jokes I'd have with my friends about Refraction, 30 Virus, Menacing Banana, or Aikensoft, and how we would enjoy watching content like Refractions or poking fun at them like Menacing Banana and Aikensoft with their very hilarious fight and controversy. But back on track. Skyblock is not the same game it used to be. and that's okay. But deep in my heart, I know I'm always going to miss the old Skyblock, the grind to get up and go farm zealots for some summoning eyes, and hopefully get that superior dragon. But those days are gone, and that's okay, because the new Skyblock has its own footing, and it doesn't seem like it'll be dying anytime soon.